Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my Star Wars Been There mug, the Planet Geonosis, with the Nexu. Love it. So today's video is going to be the mid-year book freakout tag. I love doing this tag. I do it every year, and it just kind of gives you a little bit of snapshot of how far I've read up until this point in June, and then a little bit of plans for the rest of the year. But I really like this tag. It helps you kind of just like reflect on the reading year thus far. It doesn't feel like it's halfway over either, which is kind of crazy. And hopefully I get out of this kind of like slumpy feeling soon so that I can continue. Although the book I'm reading right now I am enjoying, so hopefully this is the end of it. So question 1 is the best book you've read so far this year. And honestly, for me, I think I would have to say The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. This was my first 5-star of the year, and I really loved it. I thought it was really interesting, really thrilling, attention-grabbing. Really enjoyed that one a lot. Like, loved it. Very upset that I have to wait for book 2 to come out. So that one for sure was the best book I've read so far this year. I recently finished a nonfiction book that I also gave 5 stars to, which I don't really rate nonfiction books very often, so you know I loved it, and obviously I want to rave about that one too, but fiction-wise, The Rose Bargain, which I've talked about. I did a whole review on that book as well, I believe, so you can check out that video. Question 2 is the best sequel you've read so far this year. For that one, I would have to go with Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I think I gave this book 4.5 stars. I ended up really loving it, even though I know some people it wasn't their favorite. I really enjoyed it. I thought a lot of the elements were super interesting. Could have done with a little less traveling, but the rest of it I loved. And I love that world so much with the dragons and the politics and the war. So I'm gonna read them no matter what. I was just so pumped to get it. I read it so fast. I enjoyed every moment of it, basically. So absolutely that one, as I'm sure a lot of people's were. Question 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. For this one, I would say The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgkinson. This is one that was on my radar and I've really wanted to read, but I just haven't gotten around to yet just because of the reading slump and being busy and being gone with a myriad of other things because it came out while I was gone. But I am still really intrigued to get to this. It's like a kind of about a secret society, I believe, but it involves a cutthroat competition and all these different kind of like houses that have different traits. It sounds really good and sounds like something I would really enjoy, so I hope I can get to this one soon, but I need to get to it if I can. And then question number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Any of the Hermione fanfictions that are coming out, to be honest, like the ones that are being published. And it's obviously a different story, different world, but the same story bones structure, I guess. So many of the Hermione fanfictions that are coming out, The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley, Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, Alchemized by Sinlin Yu, and Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber, because that's Stephanie Garber's newest work that is coming out, but is not in the Caraval world, which is crazy. I've never read anything by her. She's never really written anything that hasn't been in the Caraval universe, so it's pretty crazy that she's coming out with a book. So definitely Alchemy of Secrets. I'm so excited to read something else in Stephanie Garber's mind, but all of those that were Hermione fanfictions that are being published, I am pumped for them because I loved those specific works. So I'm really excited for all 4 of those, and we'll probably devour them so fast. They're just so good. Well, I imagine they're going to be good. I feel like if you love the original story, how could you not love the revamped version? Even if it's a little bit of a different world, I think I'm going to love them. And then question 5 is your biggest disappointment so far this year. And mine is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, which is so weird and sad because I love the Shepherd King duology by Rachel Gillig. I loved it so much. I was pumped about it before it came out. I read the first book super quickly, fell in love with the story. I feel like people didn't really get into it until the second book was coming out or later, and I loved that story and that world so much. So I was really excited to read what other work she would come out with, and I think maybe it was partly due to my reading slump or how I've been feeling about books recently, but I was not the biggest fan of it. I found myself getting a little bit bored, not really understanding where the story was going to go, but there were elements of the story that I still liked. But I would say for how much I was anticipating this book and how much I thought I would enjoy it, that was my biggest disappointment. Not like it was like a 1-star book, but in the ratio of an author I loved, books that I loved, and the story sounded interesting, to then reading it and kind of none of that working for me was very disappointing. So definitely that one, unfortunately. Question number 6 is your biggest surprise so far this year. For me, I think it's tied between 2 books, honestly. One of them is Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce, and the other one would be Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. Both of those caught me off guard in the best way. Dungeons and Drama was the first book in the Dungeons and Drama series. It's like these D&D contemporary YA romances. They're very cute, very like simple, light, fluffy reads, but they're funny and they were just adorable, and I ended up really, really enjoying that one. And then I read the second one, which I really loved, so I ended up really enjoying those, and they really caught me off guard. But Lights Out caught me off guard in a way that was different, because I don't really read dark romance very much or at all, and that's kind of like delving into this territory. But the audiobook made the main male character hilarious. Like, it was so funny to read. And while I feel like the middle of the book kind of petered out for me, and I liked the ending okay, the beginning was where it shined for me, and it really caught me off guard with how much I liked it. I didn't think I would like it like I did, or think it was as funny as it was. So that one was one of the bigger surprises. And I'm reading the second book right now, so that shows you that. Question 7 is favorite new author, which is like a debut author or just a new author to me. And honestly, I was trying to think, Christy Boyce is one that comes to mind with like Dungeons and Drama, Dragons and Dating, but I think the one I'm gonna go for, even though technically I've only read one of her books, would be Callie Hart, who wrote Quicksilver, because I really enjoyed Quicksilver, and I'm looking forward to continuing that series. As I was kind of looking back at the books that I've read so far this year, there haven't been a plethora of new authors. Like, there have been, but I was trying to think of, I was reading a lot of repeat authors and like continuations of series that have come out. And I think that I would have to say, as a new author this year, that Callie Hart would take that slot, because it's the highest rated book that wasn't a repeat author. And my feelings about it were really good. Like, I really liked reading that book. So I think Callie Hart for sure. Question 8 is newest fictional crush. Joshua from Lights Out. He was just so, like I said, he was so funny and like sweet, which was just so strange with the setup of the book, but it was like, he was such a good character. Or Blackwell from Phantasma. I really enjoyed that book as well. Phantasma was really, really good, and I picked it up thinking I'm either gonna love it or hate it, and I loved it. And I want to read Enchantra. But Blackwell is the like main male character in that book, and I really, really liked him a lot. He was a very interesting character as well, but also just like, he's a fictional crush. He's a book boyfriend, you know? So Joshua from Lights Out and Blackwell from Phantasma. Question 9 is newest favorite character, and this one took me a minute, but I think I have to say Riddick from Onyx Storm. He was in the other books, obviously. Sorry if that's a spoiler. It's a spoiler. But I think in Onyx Storm, he really shined, and for me, he became like one of my favorite characters. So Riddick, I don't think any of the others I would like deem my favorites in other books that I was reading, but Riddick is the one that shines above them all. So Riddick Gamlin. Question 10 is a book that made you cry. If I cried in any of the books, it would be The Making of Biblical Womanhood by Beth Allison Barr, and not in a good way. It's like in a so frustrated that this is what happened with our history and the narrative that has been spread to subjugate women. So not in a good way, but a very important way. Question 11 is a book that made you happy, and this one has to be Dragons and Dating by Christy Boyce. These are the D&D like cute little romances, but this one was in particular very cute. I liked the premise a little bit more and just enjoyed the banter and the tension, and it was just so cute. That one made me happy. Question 12 is the most beautiful book you've gotten so far this year, you've acquired this year. I went back and forth on this a little bit, but I did settle on the Fairy Loot edition of Cruel is the Light by Sophie Clark. I really like the cover and the sprayed edges a lot, and the spine's pretty cool. But also, I think everything about this book makes it the most beautiful. So the inside of the dust jacket has like a reversible dust jacket, and the cover has this beautiful sword on it, and I just think it's so stunning. Even the end papers are insane. So I think this is definitely the most beautiful book I've gotten so far this year. And then last but not least, question 13. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? So many, as always, too many. There's always too many, always. Enchantra by Keely Smith, of course. This is, like we were saying, the second book to Phantasma, so I really need to get to this. Shield of Sparrows by Devaney Perry, because they did send me a copy of this, like an ARC, so I really need to get to this ASAP. Brimstone by Callie Hart. It hasn't been released yet, but it's book 2 in the Quicksilver series. A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. I read A Study in Drowning last year, and it caught me by surprise in a different way. It was really deep and dark, but also very good, and I'm very curious to continue that story. So A Theory of Dreaming. Behooved by M. Stevenson. This one just looks absolutely hilarious. And The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. That's about an enchanted greenhouse. What could be more magical? There's so many others that I want to read before the end of the year, but that is a handful. Some of them are out now, some of them are not, but close to being out. So maybe have a better fighting chance at them, but definitely those. And then all the Hermione fan fictions that I mentioned before, and the Stephanie Garber book, Alchemy of Secrets. Honestly, I would also like to read the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association by Caitlin Rozakis. The only hesitation I have with this is that the audiobook isn't out, and I don't know when it's coming out, but that's how I get things read a lot faster. So hopefully I can get to this one too, but like we've mentioned all the time on books channels, and my channel in particular, there's always more books that we want to read than we have time for. So all of them, but those in particular at the moment. Those are all the questions for the mid-year book freakout tag. I would love to know your answers to these questions if you want to leave them in a comment down below. But as for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.